For those of you who are here, let me just have a quick ping to Discord and to YouTube. And we're live. How you doing, everyone? Good to see you all. For all of you who, like me, are in the northern part of North America, I hope that you are safe during the oncoming storm. I am very excited to shovel. How you guys doing? Good to see you all. Let me know if you can see me. Please let me know if you can hear me. We are now live. I got a couple of cool things actually lined up for you today. But as per usual, we're going to goof around a bit while we're waiting for people to filter in and while we're waiting for plans to be laid, shall we say. Yeah, we'll give a couple of minutes to come in. Hey, Quagsire. Of course you're a Quagsire. You always are. It's good to see you, my friend. Yeah, if let me know if you guys can, again, see me and hear me okay. Again, we'll wait a couple minutes for a couple more people to come in, but I'd like to open this stream with a little opinion poll among you guys in the chat. But that's, again, only going to happen once we have a couple of minutes to let people come in. So, how are you all doing? Is everything well? Are you doing fine? I certainly hope so. There's been a lot going on with me. I apologize that I have not had more content out. The Kickstarter that I am currently fulfilling has been kicking my ass. And look, I have this frickin' beard, all this facial hair. Yeah, I've not been doing a whole lot besides working on that Kickstarter recently. But hopefully I'll be able to get you guys some content pretty soon. Got a couple irons in the fire, just trying to prioritize accordingly. Hello, how you doing over there? It's good to see you. Thank you guys again for taking the time to swing in and watch. We'll give it a couple more minutes to let a few people come in. Then maybe at 11:05 my time, we will dive into things. Let's see. Okay, Quagsire says, in terms of RTS mods, I'd recommend you check out is Mental Omega for Red Alert 2. I will make a note of that. Excellent. Thank you very much for the recommendation. Always interested in talking to more RTS creators, see what they got going on. And I will say, Red Alert is a series I have never once played in my life. I've watched like an actual play once or twice, but I've never actually played it. And I think a big part of that is because I'm not personally as interested in the modern era. Whereas history, fantasy, oh yeah, those are my wheelhouses. I don't even tend to like sci-fi that much. I can enjoy it. There's certainly some sci-fi I like, but I think that's why I never really got into Red Alert. Though it seems awesome. It seems really cool. It seems very commendable. And I know that there's some people who absolutely adore it, and for whom it is the go-to RTS. And to those people, I respect you. Hello, good to see you guys. Good to see you all. Before we launch in, if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to say. Once again, if you, like me, are in the northern part of North America, please stay safe during the big storm that is coming in. I don't know why people are making a big honking deal about it, but then again, I haven't been hit by it yet, so maybe it is as bad as everyone has been saying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, especially the shoveling. I love shoveling. Additionally, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to lead this stream off with a little opinion poll once a few more people filter in, so get ready for that. But we'll take another minute or two. Again, if you guys have any questions for me, please do fire them away whenever you have them. Chumbeke says the one issue I have with Mental Omega for Red Alert 2 is that's super hardcore. Yeah, there's a place for that. I don't know. I'm not like a hardcore sort of guy when it comes to playing, but I will say when it comes to like watching stuff, I really do enjoy it. I like watching people who are good at stuff be good at stuff, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm sure it makes it a little harder for other people to get involved. Quagsire says Red Alert is more alt timeline sci-fi. Yeah, I'd suppose it is, but it's modern coded and aesthetically modern. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds Expanding Fronts is a very good game. I have looked at that before. I would love to get in touch with the team. If anyone happens to have a link, drop it to me. But yeah, I'd absolutely love to talk to that team more. They seem really cool, and I love the stuff they're doing. You know what? Let's see if I can maybe find a way to get in touch with them. Hello, people. Good to see you too. Red Alert 1 has a bit more of a historical feel, though World War II, early Cold War historic, filtered through alt history with some sci-fi dashes than something older. Yeah, there's something, and then there's Red Alert 3 being pure, undiluted goofiness. You know, there's a place for all of those things in this world. And I have heard that Red Alert does a great job of getting that kind of like classic AoE2 voice lines, sort of campy cheese. And I'm of the opinion that you either want to be, when you're handling something historical, you either want to be like as true to it as you can and as dignified and represent it really, really nicely and authentically as best you can, or whole hog just be cheese. I feel like those are the two ways I prefer to do such things. Okay. Now, we have a couple of people involved, and so because of that, I have an opinion poll for you guys. And here is the opinion poll. So we have been receiving a lot more news about the upcoming AoE2 DLC than I ever could have imagined. Like, given that what we've experienced in the past, I thought they were going to wait all the way to the end, excuse me, and then just bombard us with information all at once. But no, we've actually been getting quite a few little drops. So because of that, I would like to hear from you guys. I have not looked at any of the new DLC spoilers at all yet. Reason being is I am working on a video with Chimbeke, as it happens, where we're going to take a crack at one of the DLC civilizations, and I did not want to spoil myself, frankly, and I wanted to come at it with a completely fresh mind. So, my opinion poll to you guys is, do you want to go through some of the new spoilies now with me live? Or do you want me to save myself for marriage and wait until I put out this video so it can be like truly fresh? Maybe with like a comparison in the video of some kind, or like a quick review in the video. So what would you guys prefer? I'd love to hear your thoughts because my intention was just to wait. I was just going to wait and let all the spoilers come in and roll off my back and not look at any of them. And then put out my video first so it can be as impartial as possible. And then at that point, make my decision. It would be great if I could take cracks at all of the new civilizations, frankly. But there's one that I really wanted to do in particular. And Chimbeke has been great help and put in a lot of work. So what do you guys think? Should I do the spoilers with you guys now, or shall we wait? What would you prefer? I'll wait for things to come in. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to say them, or other topics that you're interested in. Let's see. I wonder who that is. United Rebels mod, nice. I'd rather you react to the spoilers here, says Quagsire. I will certainly do so if I get at least a few other people saying that they are interested in hearing. I actually took the liberty of pulling them up. So, but I have not scrolled down. I mean, this is the wiki, right? So, but they tend to be pretty diligent about updating this sucker. Gather the tribes. All right. Warlords are invading the chat. Oh, there they are. They're all coming in. Don't worry, guys. We're going to get to the talk with your team in just a couple minutes. But there's an AoE2 DLC, and as such, I want to make sure that the AoE2 friends have potential interest in seeing what we got. Does anyone else on the AoE2 side of things want to see me look over DLC stuff now? Or does anyone feel strongly about me waiting till later? Look upon me. Nice. The quotes are invading. It's great. It's good to see you guys. Thank you for dropping by. We're starting with a little bit of AoE2 stuff, and then we'll jump into Warlord stuff shortly. Good lord. Oh, all the Warlord stuff. I mean, that kind of tells me that maybe it would be a good idea to jump straight into Warlords talk, perhaps. But again, if anyone else on the AoE2 side of things want to see me discuss some of the new DLC stuff, we can do that briefly before getting in to Warlords, which I am very excited to learn a lot more about. It's a game I know precious little about, but funnily enough, I was actually introduced to Warlords through this mod by a viewer who sent me a link. I was like, you need to check this out. They said it like 2.5 years ago. I finally got around it. As a fan of both, you should explore the spoilers. Hey guys. Hey Ari, good to see you, man. All right, let's take a look through. Reject them cookies. And let's see what we got. Okay, again, I have not seen the new spoilers yet at all. I mean, I know the civilizations, but I haven't looked at the new units. Okay, so let's see. Do we have any news on bonuses? Nope, doesn't look like it. So they gave us some descriptions, and they have names of unique units. I'm guessing they have some details on them as well. They have the campaigns. These are not surprising at all. El Dorado for Muisca. Pacanchique. That's a really interesting one. I don't know if I would have called it El Dorado, but sure, let's try it. I mean, can't be worse than the original one. Although I will be honest, that original El Dorado campaign, I loved. I like play-wise. It was really fun to play. Inca campaign in Pachacuti, fantastic. We love to see that. All right, unit time. What do we got? Kona. Melee cavalry that increases damage to injured targets. Called it. I frickin' called it. Now, you guys may remember that this was my proposal for the Jaguar Warrior, is that they were stronger against injured targets. I love that this mechanic exists. Yes. Another win for the Robbie Lava channel. I've heard that the name Kona is like a little generic, but it seems perfectly descriptive. So, yeah, nice. Love it. Great. Mapuche Cavalrymen, pretty obvious. Spoilies, again, I'm working on a build for one of these, and it may or may not be the Mapuche. Bolas Rider, Mapuche Ranged Cavalryman whose projectiles slow down enemies. Yeah, you have to have Bolas. I have a different plan for Bolas from my build. I will also say that I spoke with Chumbeke explicitly about the Bolas Rider, and it is, and he actually, this is the one that I've been spoiled on, because he mentioned, oh yeah, this is what they ended up doing. And apparently the Bolas Rider is a bit anachronistic for AoE2. It's more of an AoE3 style iteration, though Bolas were absolutely used. It's just pairing them with a horse probably didn't come till later. All right. I do not know much about Muisca. I apologize in advance, so I'm mostly going to focus on mechanics here. I haven't done my research on them yet. The Mapuche I know pretty well. Again, thanks, Chumbeke. The Guecha Warrior, Muisca Javelineer, Atlatl, maybe? Probably. I don't actually know if they used them. But we desperately need a frickin' Atlatl unit, whose death heals nearby Guecha Warriors. This is also great. I love on-death effects. I think they're very fun. I don't think I've used explicitly this before, though it is somewhat similar to what I proposed for the Georgians as an Imperial Age unique Imperial technology. Though I think on that, it's on kill rather than on death. Still, seems pretty fine. Is this like a skirmisher alt thing? I don't know. Temple Guard. The name seems a little weird. I'd have to look into the history on that one, but that seems kind of generic. Attacks faster the longer it remains in combat. Nice. Great mechanic. I think I proposed something very similar to that as well. Good to see them exploring that as well. Let's see. Blackwood Archer for the Tupi. Again, the name seems a little weird. Trains in pairs. Oh. Hello, Portuguese civilization mod. Yeah, I'm sure this has been talked about for quite a while. It was pretty inevitable. Interesting it was on an archer. Sure. I mean, we'll take a look at it. This is another mechanic that I actually was considering for an upcoming build, but not on an archer. And then the Ibirapema Warrior, heavy infantryman that deals equal damage to all targets in front of them. So it's a cleave attack. Yeah, again, this is a mechanic I proposed for the two-handed swordsman, splitting them away from the swordsman line, have it be two-hander, and that they cleave attack in front of them. I also proposed something similar for my Mishtek unique unit more recently. Now, that was a bit more like a scorpion. So in terms of the mechanics, I like to see it. These are fun, engaging mechanics that don't feel like they are too far afield of what AoE2 already does, but are pushing the boundaries in a way that I like. Surprisingly, Robbie likes pushing the boundaries. Then, the regional, yay, a new siege ship, obviously, but also Champi Warrior, Build outposts, excel at scouting, raiding, and fighting ranged soldiers. Okay, yeah, so that's their eagle. I have a different idea for an eagle replacement, but I'm glad to see they're replacing the eagle. Good. A+. Very good. Slinger. Yep. Regional. I really wish it wasn't a hand cannon. I think that's really silly, but whatever. Let's see. Animals. Yeah, I don't care about animals. Unidentified aquatic snake. That's kind of cool. Buildings. Oh, there's a regional building. Settlement. Regional building that supports population and serves as a drop site for all reasons. Oh, so it's Empire Earth. Can you garrison it with citizens to turn it into a town center? This seems odd. It seems very odd, actually. Like, why? Why is this regional to them? Maybe there's a reason for it. I'm not convinced. Interesting, though. Yeah, of all regional buildings you could have done, you went with that. Really? I don't get it. But again, maybe I could be convinced on this one. Yeah, they have a Curari thing. This seems pretty obvious to me. I know nothing about the Tupi, by the way, and that's obvious. Hey, War Dog! Woo! That's what people are chattering about in the Discord. Yep, that's another one. Robbie predicted it. Not that it was hard to predict, right? That's awesome. Gunpowder keg. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. War Dog, that's cool. Do we have any information on this? Hey, that actually looks really similar to the mock-up that I made as well, the Spanish Mastiffs. I'm so glad that they're going with this option. I am quite glad about that. Okay, I'm pleased. DLC worth it for the War Dog. Take a look at these. Wow, these are really beautiful. I love the architecture style. Wow. Cool as hell. Are you guys happy? I'm pretty happy. Again, not exactly how I would do it, but who cares how I'd do it? This is awesome. They're bringing in so many things that I've been hoping for and wanting. Yeah, I don't think I have any like major gripes thus far. Again, Bolus Rider is a bit anachronistic, whatever. These names are a little sus, whatever. Who cares? This is cool. I like it. I like to see it. All right, let's take a look at chat. And then and if you guys have any other questions or things that I missed or your own thoughts on these DLC stuff, please do let me know. And in a couple minutes, we'll call the Warlords team, see what they think. But first, let's take a look at the Chatterino. Okay, yeah. Kona's perfectly fine, says Chibeke. Yep. What are your opinions on revival projects for Age of Empires Online? I've never heard about it. Project Celeste, Battleforge, Skylords Reborn. I've never heard of any of those things. If you wanna give me some more information on the Discord, that would be great, actually. I love South American and Central American civilizations so much, which we had more information on the original North American ones too. I did a video on that. Some summary, there are definitely North American civs that could work, even if the best case scenario ones are still long shots. Hey, King, good to see you in chat. Trains in pairs like Zerglings, yep. Ancient Americas did a video about Tupis, that's awesome. This is from the post in Steam. The Blackwood Archer is a unique unit for the Tupi, yep. Only costing half a population space, so they're an endgame meme unit. Yeah, so they're, like, it really seems power crept on the Karambit, but I'd like to see the stats on it first before I come to quick conclusions. Wonder how fast it attacks faster than the Japanese are close to it. That'd be cool. Empire Earth mentioned. Should have made a replacement for the castle. I can see it. Settlement is such a weird name for a building. Like I said, yeah, it's Empire Earth coded to me. Curare, dog with Gambison. Woo! Yeah, everyone's talking about the dog with Gambisons. Gambisons affecting the dogs would be funny. Not exactly how I do it, but I like it a lot. Exactly, Jimbeke. Not exactly how I do the DLC. Thus far, though, it is awesome. Sure beats the 3K disaster. Oh, yeah. Too bad the dog can't be used in multiplayer. Oh, yeah. And War Dog should be for a ton of people, too. Whew. Are you checking out Warlords Battlecry? Yes, I am. We're going to be talking to the team behind the Protectors mod shortly. In fact, let me say 5 minutes. I'm just texting them to let them know about 5 minutes before we start. Jimbeke says, I've worked a bit with the Project Celeste folks and also made in the Bang engine. Help solve some engine mysteries. That's really cool. I mean, again, I've never heard of the project before, so quite curious to learn more about it. Which civs get the War Dog? Let's take a look. Oh, it's Scenario Editor. Oh, excel against ranged and injured units. I really like the injured units thing. That makes a lot of sense for doggos. Very, very good. But come on, guys. Scenario editor unit. Lame. I'm just glad it's around, but it would be nice to have it properly implemented, especially for civilizations like the Spanish and the Jurchens. Off the top of my head, the Jurchens use dogs a lot in war. And a bunch of the Germanic civilizations. There's so many that should be able to use dogs. Okay, considering the Tupis are in AoE2, I think almost any civ is fair. I don't know about any, but yeah, there's a bunch I'd like to see from North America. Yeah, war dogs for multiplayer, no. Heroes, yes. Bleh, I agree. Probably Spanish, Portuguese, and French in the campaign. Yeah, something like that. Any squad-based RTS games being talked about on here recently, by the way? To be honest, no, but not because I have no interest in them. I just don't know any particularly well, besides the Warhammer 40k one. And even that, I've never even played it. I've just watched a couple of actual plays. That said, I would be very interested in talking more about squad-based RTS games, because I think there's a lot to like about that. Oh, I guess you could say Battle for Middle-earth is squad-based, couldn't you? But I guess I'd call that regiment-based. It's bigger than squads. Yeah, there's a lot to like about squad and regiment-based games. I actually think they're very appealing in a lot of ways. But I did a poll a while back asking the audience what they thought about squad versus single unit control, and most people seem to prefer single unit control. So maybe that's like a taste that changes, or maybe it's just a matter of not enough games are built around that model for it to work. It's a cool idea, though. And let's see. Romans for dogs. Oh, yeah, absolutely true. Cumans. Yep, totally. Yeah, and Magyars use them as beasts of war. Totally. Yeah, Battle for Middle-earth. Some other ones I can't remember. Yeah, I think that there's a reason that squad-based isn't explored more. Excuse me. Because squad-based games, I would bet you, I'm not going to say this for sure, but I would bet you that it is harder on the technical side to do. Not only is it a lot more like little dudes to render, but also you have to think about how they move a lot more. Whereas a single discrete guy, you can kind of think how they would fit together and mesh. But considering that it is a big blob, what happens when the blob gets separated? What happens when the blob gets only attacked on one side? I think it's probably a lot more complicated. So I'm not sure. That's entirely a guess on my part, though. Let's say Battle for Middle-earth, my beloved. Dawn of War 2 is squad-based. Yep. I thought Company of Heroes is the poster boy of the genre. I've actually never played that one either. Iron Harvest, that one I've never even heard of. Battle for Middle-earth, my beloved. I wish all the big famous mods for that didn't make everything gray and monotonous and based on the Hobbit movies. Oh dear. Is that what's happened? That's a shame. Iron Harvest famously had insanely janky pathfinding. Yeah, I bet pathfinding is really rough for those games. Okay, now we have discussed Age of Empires, and I would like now to transition into the next part of our conversation. That being a little game called Warlords Battlecry. I've been learning a lot more about this game recently, and it seems awesome. Very, I don't know if I've ever heard of it in my life until a commenter recommended it to me. But Warlords is a fantasy RTS with an overmap style kind of campaign. So when you're playing the RTS side, it's like a specific mission or like a battle being fought. And then you're doing a lot of your planning and your eco and stuff on the overmap. So it has kind of a Total War sort of model. I'll let some cool footage play from the Protectors of Etheria channel in the background. Oh, of course, make sure that you check out the Protectors of Etheria YouTube channel. So why am I talking about Warlords Battlecry and the Protectors of Etheria? Because the Protectors of Etheria is a major mod, humongous mod that has completely transformed the face of the game. Added a ton of content. Well, and that's the reason why I'm talking about it, because they are showing what you can do with a classic RTS. They are pushing the boundaries. They're doing so much implementation. And as you guys know, I'm very interested in modding, and I'm very interested in pushing games to their limits. And this game is certainly doing that. It's a fantastically interesting looking game. I love the aesthetics. It reminds me a lot of my beloved Age of Wonders 1 in terms of its sensibilities. I'm like, look at those graphics. It looks fantastic. It looks so good. Is that a freaking dinosaur? Jesus Christ. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to hop and call with the some of the team behind the Protectors of Etheria mod. We're going to talk to them about their process. We're going to hear from them a little bit more about the game. And let's see what we can learn as RTS lovers and see how this awesome mod could help influence the way we approach the games that we love. So, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, hello. Greetings, everyone.
Hello,
Greetings.
guys. It is great to have you on call. Thank you so much for
Hello.
taking the time to hang out with us today. Before anything else, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, that would be terrific. Beginning with Patrick, who are you and what is your position within the team?
Thank you very much for the nice introduction to our game. My name is Patrick. I am, let's say, the initiator of this mod, of this project.
Mm.
And with me, I have two of my fellow devs, Karn, say hello,
Hello.
and Extorias.
Greetings, Warlords.
They have been on this team for more than a decade, I think.
Wow.
And yeah, we are very, very excited for your invitation. I hope your viewers will play this game. It's free to play. You just download it and play it. So yeah.
That's awesome. That is so cool. Well, before anything else, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join. It is a pleasure getting to talk to you, and it is amazing seeing what you have done with this game. I, as an RTS lover, as a mod lover, I feel that mods are the beating heart of RTSs, and it's things like this that really prove that to me. So, before anything else, if you wouldn't mind, for a noob like myself, could you give the most basic summary of what Warlords Battlecry is like and about, and what distinguishes it from other RTS?
I mean, in very short, I actually saw a comment describing this. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it goes like this.
Mm.
Heroes of Might and Magic meets Age of Empires.
Yep. It reminds me a lot of
It's
a game called Age of Wonders 1, which I absolutely love and is heavily inspired by Heroes of Might and Magic.
yeah. The main thing about this game and what attracted me at least is something unique I never seen. Well, at least at the time in other games, it was that even though it was an RTS game, it had an RPG part with persistent heroes.
Mm.
There were other RPG RTS games out there, but none of them had a persistent hero
Yeah.
system. With that, I mean that you can play multiplayer and single player in parallel with the same hero for the rest of your gaming life if you want to. You can
Wow.
level him up until the game breaks without a problem. You'll never get bored of it. It's insane.
Whew. That's so cool. That I see. I never even knew that. Now, that's a great summary. It's a great introduction to it. And in very short, I'd love to hear from each of you guys, maybe a little piece of this. But starting with Patrick, what are some of the biggest ways that you guys have changed this game in your mod, and why?
Well, we try to not stray too far from the original game and
Mm.
just improve it. But that is a very loose term. What we did is actually add a lot of depth to it. We did some balancing around. We added a lot of new things, new mechanics, both on the RTS and on the RPG part. We tried to implement all the good stuff from the whole series, if not just from the Warlords Battlecry 1, 2, and 3 games, but also from the Warlords universe, and some from the Puzzle Quest
Mm.
games that came out afterwards.
Wow.
it's insane the amount of replayability you have and all the many combos you can do now. We've just expanded the game and of course also give some compatibility with modern systems and stuff like that. We're just fooling around with it. We're just playing around with the code and everything the game can offer.
Yeah, totally. That's
Ho-
so
ho-
cool. Something I should add before I forget is that the game is like this mod is free to play. So I have put links to the original Warlords Battlecry plus all of the mod details in the description of this video. Everyone watching, please be sure to check it out if you have even the slightest bit of interest. It is truly incredible. Pardon me, Patrick. Please carry on.
Yeah, so for anyone wanting to play it, it's free to play. You just download and play it. With one minor hiccup, if you want it on Steam, you need to have the original game on Steam. But it's I think it's pretty cheap, about $10 or something like that.
Yep. Sure, it
It's
goes on
usually on
sale
offer
for.
quite frequently as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's on sale for $1 billion off. Now, to jump over to another member of your team, Karn, could you give us some other details on maybe like another element of the game that you guys have substantially changed and why, or like a specific bit?
Right, and so I think one of the biggest things that usually hits people when they first come onto it is the faction. So, because normally you have races, like 1 of 16 races to play with, but then you have factions, which then either have a variation to each race. And some of these do like have large gameplay changes.
Yeah.
For example, there's a Minotaur faction where, because normally with Minotaurs, have big brutish units go around and just beat up something smaller than you.
Yeah.
Then there's like the pirate faction, which goes around and steals researches that are like being jotted around the map.
Cool.
And there's a demon faction, for example, where you can like sacrifice units to summon more powerful demons, which you don't normally can do in a more traditional demon faction.
Yeah. No, that's a really great idea. It's actually something I've proposed for Age of Empires as well, where within a civilization, like the Franks, for example, that covers 1,200 years of history. Wouldn't it be great if you could say, I want to play as the Charlemagne subfaction of the Franks? It's just a great way to add depth to a game without having to make a quadrillion new assets for it, which I'm sure is a misery, and I'm sure we will talk about it a bit later. Similarly, Extorius, could you give us another example of something you guys have changed about the game and why you changed it?
The biggest thing that I like in what we change is that the multiplayer supports up to 16 players.
What?
And
Yeah, yeah. The old games
the old,
didn't support, I think, a maximum of 6 players or
Yeah.
something like that, and we've just
16?
and we
yeah,
expanded it to 16 players.
How the shit did you do that?
Like I said, we added a lot of crazy stuff to the
That's
game. We're
that's
just pushing it to the
wild.
maximum.
What the hell? Okay, yeah. So, I mean, we'll get into some of the technicals later, but Extorius, how did you guys even begin going about that?
well, I'm with the design part, so it wasn't actually my idea,
Yeah, that is
but
perfectly fine. The fact that you guys were able to accomplish that is absurd.
I mean, we don't have, we're not very organized, let's say. We don't have immediate task or goal or a milestone or something like that. So we're just thinking about something that would be cool and we start adding in it. Maybe we debate it a little bit if it affects multiple areas of the game. But when it came out to, hey, let's see if we can add more players to multiplayer, everyone was, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So a question then I have, or rather a topic I think would be interesting is I often think about games like closed systems or open systems. An example, Settlers of Catan is a closed system. If you add even one tiny change to the game, it is a completely different game. It's very hard to add new stuff to that game without breaking everything. I would argue more games are open systems than closed systems, but many people treat them like closed systems. People say, "Oh, you can't change the knight in Age of Empires to have 5 more HP. That ruins everything," which I think is kind of silly. Whereas you guys seem to be very much treating your mod like an open system. You are adding cool stuff and just saying, let's see what happens. And I guess my question is, how did you come to that mentality? Do you think it purely comes down to like the culture of the game not being as much about like sweaty PvP, or is there something else to it?
I mean, I think it's a combination of both. It has open systems, but it also has a closed system.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
bit of both, isn't it?
yeah, we don't have the whole dev team here. If Joe would be here, he would just say exactly that it's very close, and we'll start showing all his spreadsheets of calculations of every stat and efficiency of every unit in the game and how 5 HP does demolish
It's
the
the guy
whole
with
balance.
balancing,
Mm-hmm.
making
Yeah.
sure everything is balanced.
So there are closed systems, but there are multiple systems in our games, and most of them are open. An easy
See,
example is the world map. Like what you do in the world map doesn't really affect. You can change stuff on the world map without needing to change the actual RTS part, the combat part.
Yeah, totally. So there's so many things I want to ask about this game. Though I will say very, very briefly, I'm going to quickly take a poke into chat and say hi to people in there, because I got a bunch of messages that I just haven't been able to respond to. People are saying they love the Warlords, they love the project. Heroes of Might Magic, my beloved. Persistent heroes, a difficult feature to balance. I can only imagine. That sounds absurdly hard to balance, but really cool. Robbie suggests Demon Faction for Age of Empires 2026. Yes, thank you. We already have the 3 Kingdom civilizations. It can't get worse than that. Played alone with... Yeah, nothing wrong with playing alone with bots. Some of the clips in the background video are kind of old. Oh, I apologize. Here, I'll shift to another one that I found on their channel of campaign footage. Nice. Please do feel free to keep putting thoughts in chat. If any of you guys have questions for the team, please do put them in chat as well. I would love to hear them. However, something I wanted to ask you guys about. One of the biggest distinguishing factors between this game and Age of Empires, besides, everything, is there's a huge emphasis on RPG aspects. This is something Patrick and I briefly discussed when we talked earlier. My background in game design is not in RTS. This is purely just like a hobby for me. I'm a tabletop role-playing game designer. And as such, RPG aspects are something I take extreme interest in, especially when mixed with my great love of RTS gaming. First of all, I would love to hear, how do you balance RPG aspects within the context of an RTS? And more to the point, how much do they matter in the context of the RTS? I'm guessing it's not just window dressing, considering how in-depth the system is.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think one of our debates is actually a good example of what kind of obstacles you can find in designing, let's say, an RTS RPG game. We were talking about damage, and how can we make units deal damage so that the whole battle is a little bit more predictable or more strategic. And maybe we should have fixed damage then. If we do that, we eliminate all the RNG part, and there are no critical hits anymore. So
it's a bit stale.
Yeah.
we debated a lot about that. If we eliminated critical hits and all the death blows effects, the old fans would be very upset. So we add a minimum and a maximum, and we allow dice rolls here and there. That's the simplest thing you can do to make your RTS a little bit more role-playing. Aside, of course, from the actual hero system.
As well as units being able to level up naturally as they kill things and gain experience.
Yeah, veterans, yeah, exactly, is a really good example of doing that. It's a lot of talk about balancing of how much can a unit level up and how easily or hard can it do that. We changed the formula so many times. I think we're still tweaking it. We haven't reached exactly a perfect formula for how you level up your units.
Totally.
There's
Yeah.
also like in-game shops. Now, straight away, when people hear that, they think, microtransactions. No. The game has shops that your hero can visit in the middle of the battlefield and purchase items for your hero. Your gathered resources or crowns, finding item chests as well. So basically, while the battle's going on, you're building up your army and whatnot. Send your hero off to go pop to shops and start like buying stuff. You like have like minor stat boost for your hero and whatnot. Give him a little bit more power, but it doesn't like where to go about it. It doesn't monopolize the whole game around your hero. Well, he's not in low levels anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. There's also the side quest system. Like your hero can go to a shrine and get a quest, but if you want to interact with the RTS part, then you can also plant some mines over there. So when the enemy hero goes to get a quest, he might get blown up, stuff like that.
Cool. It reminds me of Warcraft 3 in that regard, which also has a shopping element that you can do on certain maps. In that game, though, from what I understand, shopping was very hard to balance. It was either like incredibly strong or all but useless. And I would imagine that there's a lot of these RPG elements that can be extremely swingy and can like really change or even compromise how the game is balanced. Is this something that you guys have noticed, or is it something that is like easier in practice than it might sound?
Generally, we just wait until someone flags up saying, "Oh, hey, that's too powerful," and then we just nerf it. But yeah, occasionally there will be some things which kind of go a little bit too far one direction. It's like, no, we need to sort that out. I can't think off the top of my head at this moment, but I know there's been a few instances where we've had to go redress something that makes your hero far too powerful at certain low levels that it starts becoming a one-man army too soon. It's like, no, we don't want that. You want your hero to, whilst being able to, progress, still keep relative to your army at the same time. So it should be like kind of low to begin with, so it's below your army's capabilities. Then as it levels up, becomes like equal and maybe slightly above, and that's roughly where you kind of want it. Not a case of your hero becomes a god and you start playing Dynasty Warriors in the Battlecry.
That's great.
I like to add something here. I don't think balance is really our top priority. Balance looks good on paper, but what we're actually looking for is fun, of course, and that comes with practice. And really, I don't know, if there's a treasure chest, a shiny treasure chest that your hero wants to pick up, and if there's a possibility to make a mechanic to get a trap in there and create paranoia for all the heroes when approaching a chest, I think that's fun, even if maybe it's not very balanced. It's a good implementation, so we just do it, and then we see how the people react to it, and maybe if they don't like it that much, we nerf it or stuff like that. But we're not implementing stuff necessarily just for the sake of balance.
Yep, absolutely. I have a thought on that, but real quick, just to take a quick look at chat. Someone said Dragon Lords faction when dev team. I have to know.
When we get a 3D modeler.
Future patches.
Probably next year.
Yep. Oh, and Panzatan said, where can I see some of the TTRPG stuff Robbie worked on? Thank you for asking. I promise you are not an audience plant. Here's a link to my Kickstarter that I finished a little while ago. I'm working on fulfillment right now, which is part of the reason why I haven't been putting out content, because I've been getting my ass kicked by doing layouts. Then let's see, what else have we got? Expand on weapons and armor. Yes, they absolutely did. The WB4 we never got is the comment we got here, which sounds about correct. Designing for fun over designing for balance. I recently played AoE. The controls on it and the console are more convenient, and there aren't many advanced solutions like in TPE. Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it. Balance equals every faction hero class combination is fun. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. It actually reminds me of something that even on like the sweaty tryhard side, I think is kind of applicable here, which is, it reminds me of the way that Dota was balanced, at least back in the day when I was following it, where everything was kind of broken, and so it was fair. And because everything was broken, you could always do something fun with it. There was always something cracked that you could do that felt really good and was really cool, and nothing felt kind of wimpy or effete. So I don't know if that's kind of an approach that you guys have, or it could be that there are just so many moving parts that changing one, there's always going to be something else that can kind of swing in and counter it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, I've got a spreadsheet here. There are currently over 170 hero skills, 530 hero items, 300
Oof.
units, 400 buildings,
Oof.
700 researches, 34 hero classes, 61 factions. It's too much to even sanely try to balance them all. So.
Yeah, that's wild.
And about 450 quests.
Oh, God.
You forgot about the spells.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't get all of them.
Boglorio says, I shall kidnap a 3D modeler in your name, dev team. Yeah, I think you're going to get a 3D modeler shipped to you in the mail soon. Now, another thing I wanted to ask you about, and the subject of 3D modelers, how many of your assets are original versus how many are ones that already existed in the game or that you pilfered from other games, which I know other mods do?
We have very few unique models. The game is based on sprites. You just have a 3D model and you just get frame by frame every bitmap. It's very hard to match the kind of art, the type of art that the game originally has. So we don't have all that many units. I don't know if it's in the 5% or so. I think Extorias can say more about this. I know he's been using also recently he's been using AI to do some 3D models and he's been adding a lot of new assets.
Yeah, please.
Well, we have around 4 completely new buildings without using the AI. Also, we have around 10 units with the help of AI, reproducing some of the puzzle quest to units. That is what I'm focusing now.
Cool.
Puzzle quest 2 has around, I don't know, tens of units, and I can easily reproduce them so that we can add them in game.
That's really good.
So we're mostly taking inspiration, let's say, from the games that are made by the same developer from Infinite Interactive or Infinity Plus 2 as they call themselves now. So Puzzle Quest and Warlords game. I don't think we have anything from any other game outside of this franchise.
We've tried to make sure that all assets are either self-created or for the same franchise.
That's actually something I was going to ask you about as well. With a fantasy IP, it can be so tempting to either insert your own work, your own world building, your own designs, or to lovingly rip something off from another fantasy IP. Have you ever been tempted to do something like that? Or have you always been like completely locked in on only honoring the original vision of the source material?
I mean, we're pretty strict about it, mostly because we have done a very extensive lore research of the whole Ethereum universe. It's about 400 pages of text.
Holy shit.
And if we
You
found...
can thank Joe for that.
Yeah. It's an insane amount. It's all dated and everything is very well documented. And it also has new types of units, let's say. So if we find out that there's a creature referenced in that lore, then we think, okay, let's add the creature in this game if it's not added. And then we, of course, we seek, let's say, concept art on the internet from other games and such. But we try to stay true to the actual lore of the Ethereum universe.
It has a very
The lore
clear
is more
aesthetic.
than 100 pages.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's expensive. It's public. It's free. You can actually make a lot of D&D campaigns, I imagine. I know somebody tried to do that. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful universe.
I was curious about that as well. As a TTRPG guy, how many of you guys personally play TTRPGs, and how much like external RPG influence is there within your community? For example, people trying to integrate the game into a D&D campaign, like you just mentioned.
I mean, I'm not sure if from the dev team there are all that many players that do this kind of gaming.
Mm.
I certainly didn't, but I did saw people from, let's say, fans being interested in that. I wouldn't say there are that many
Hmm.
compared to the actual gaming on PC or stuff like that.
Sure.
Uh, but there has been, I wouldn't say that it influenced our development at all, but there is interest in the fan base for this kind of thing, but not in a very great number.
Yep, that makes sense. You guys want to be focused in on the thing that you're actually doing, especially in the case where you have a mod, which is already going to sift audience based on how committed they are to the game. As a very brief aside, when we talked, Patrick, you mentioned that Warlords Battlecry, and perhaps Warlords in general, is much more of a European thing than an American thing. I had never heard about it before being sent the mod, and so from all of you guys, can you give, for the people who are not familiar, I should have asked this earlier, an extremely brief history of Warlords, like when the franchise developed and what else it has done besides the Battlecry games?
I mean, the Warlords came up in the 90s. The Warlords Battlecry, the RTS, Parker's Warlords was turn-based strategy, and then they made Warlords Battlecry, which was a real-time strategy.
Hmm.
The first one, Warlords Battlecry 1, came in the year 2000, and then in 2002, Warlords Battlecry 2, and 2004, Warlords Battlecry 3, I think. Uh, I'm not sure how it got distributed. The development team is a company from Australia. I know I got it from a comic book that also had this gaming news in it, and it has this CD with the Warlords Battlecry 3. I'm
Huh.
not sure how the rest of the people found out about it, but people in my area, that's how they knew about the game.
That's so funny.
So,
Yeah, Karn Extorius, tell us about your stories.
so long ago, I'm long forgotten. Computer used to have like computer magazine shops that came with demo CD. So you
Yep.
had like about like 10 or so different demos on this one CD, so you could buy them out. That's how I found out about Warlords Battlecry 1. In fact, it's my friend who actually to the play. Because Mum used to buy me those magazines, but I never really bothered with the demo. But then my friend came round and he wanted to play something new. So he just popped in his CD. We just installed a bunch of games on there. There's one called Red Baron and some other things. And we came across Warlords Battlecry. So he tried that. And we went, yeah, I didn't think much of it at the time. But after once he left, I'll have to have him on lunch. I thought to myself, you know what? I actually want to go back and play that. So I did. And from that point onwards, I was hooked. So much so that even though the demo was like just, two races, humans and undead, and one map, which was a land divided, I played it so much that I reached the level cap for my hero, which back then was 50.
Oh,
So I just
wow.
played that same level over and over again with these two races, and it was like, yeah, this is brilliant. And then I eventually got a hold of the regional game, or the full game, I should say. Played with that, and then I've just kept with the franchise ever since.
That's cool. And Extorius, how about you?
Well, I discovered the first Warlords Battlecry 3 in a magazine. It had only one CD at 700 megabytes.
Mm.
And what I loved so much, firstly, was the number of action. The races. It had 16 races. Each had a unique play. And I remembered the RPG, the hero was so strong, and I really cared about that heroes and saved them on my floppy in case the the computer crashes, I could still reload my
Yeah,
heroes
that was
and level up them to
Wow.
be more stronger.
Yeah, that was straight. During those years, there were technical issues. Like you wanted to save your hero so you can play it infinitely, but you know you didn't have any cloud saves or stuff like that. So you had to make sure that your hero data is stored somewhere safe on a floppy disk or somewhere, so that in case something bad happens with your PC, your hero is still safe, so you can continue from your level.
And and the game was very unbalanced, and eventually the hero caused the crash of the game if gets around more than 100 level, and it actually breaks down the whole game. So you really had to save them somewhere else.
Wow, that's awesome. There's a
And you
couple
would
people in
really,
the
really get
oh, yeah.
you really get attached to your heroes, especially as a kid. You would really feel sorry if you would just lose it from you know external reasons, not just dying in Iron Man mode.
Yeah, exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of people in chat who are also saying they found it in like a random website as a demo or a CD with a PC magazine. Kind of amazing just how effective the whole demo disc thing was, especially for this game. But also Age of Empires, there's a bunch of people who did so as well. Um, Growing up, I remember that some of my exposures to my first games were people burning a CD and like giving it to me, like like a you wouldn't download a car sort of shit. But or just like they play a game, they're like, oh, I'm done with it, and they pass it on to me, and I see what I can do with it. So it's cool to see just how not only like people have similar experiences with this, but also just how much the PC mag mattered for the distribution of this game. I don't think I've ever heard of a game that has that many people saying that's how they found it before. Chatter just said, I think all of us did that to get a hero past level 100 in vanilla, but it was a cool and broken experience. Nostalgia hits. And Panzatan asks, do I intend to play the mod during the stream? Unfortunately, we will not have time for it today. Plus, I kind of suck at configuring games like that, so it would take me a little while to figure it out. But at some point, I definitely intend to. That would be very cool. Nice. So, another thing I would love to ask you guys about is other games and other mods, if there are any, that have inspired you guys in your work. Like whether you're like, oh, maybe we can try doing this in our mod because this other game does it or this other modder has done it. Have there been any other games that have been inspirations for you guys?
I mean, it's a very good question because I think every one of the dev members plays different types of games.
Yeah.
We're not playing just RTS or RPG games. I know I let everybody speak their favorite games and so on. But uh, what's interesting is that games influence our thoughts even when we don't realizing
Mm.
it. I had, for instance, I saw a comment, I think it was a Steam review recently, that compared the world map of the protectors because there's like a risk map and you play like a risk and then you do a lot of stuff on the world map and only afterwards you enter the RTS part. And they compared that overworld map gameplay from this game with XCOM,
Oh yeah.
and I mean I have that's I don't know what looks like XCOM. It seems very different. But I do play XCOM, and maybe that influenced me somehow. I'm pretty sure that Steam guy did not know that I play XCOM, and he made that comparison. I think it's very interesting to see that. Uh, you are influenced by games even without realizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Karin, how about for you? Are there any games that have notably influenced you during the development of the mod?
So I don't think I've actually used there's any game particularly that actually has influenced me, at least not that I know of it. But I do know there's like some other things which have influenced a minor aspect of it. So, for example, when I was writing all those quests ages ago, I was trying to think of ideas behind them, and I took inspirations from a variety of things like music albums and whatnot. I mean, you can probably tell I'm on Iron Maiden by looking at the name of the quest. Quest called, well, Iron Maiden. There's one called Gangland, and a few others which are actually similar to their actual album, well, not album, but their song name, song titles. But there's also some which you can probably see Warhammer 40,000 references. There's a quest called Skulls for the Skull Throne, which is where you come across Guardian Skulls, for example.
Yep.
So yeah, in that quest, yeah, there's kind of like references to a bunch of random things, not necessarily games.
Yep, that makes sense. And how about you, Extorius?
Well, I remembered that I played StarCraft, eventually quit because of the micromanagement, and realized that we have lots of spells and in our game, and micromanagement would be a problem here. But Patrick came with an idea called autospell, and basically every unit you can set them to cast their spells automatically.
Yeah.
And that kind of reduces the micromanagement, and you can add some combos in the unit's attitude and put some spells in auto mode, and it kind of reduces the micromanagement, and you can actually focus on strategy and other stuff, what you build and side quests and stuff.
Yep, absolutely. That's actually, you completely preempted another topic I wanted to ask you guys about, but the autocast feature, that's another Warcraft 3 thing, which was another thing that was very exciting for me to see, because I love the autocast mechanic. Though, frankly, I'm amazed you were able to implement it in a game that wasn't built to support it. Like, that sounds like it would be hard to do, but maybe I'm just like misattributing what would be difficult. The thing I wanted to ask, though, is, again, since your game tends to have, like, I'm going to say a softly casual focus, even though it has competitive elements, micro burden is a big deal. And with the autocast thing, that is a great way of reducing micro burden, but given that it is a very RPG heavy game that also has big armies at the same time, are there any other ways that you guys have tried to make micro less of a big deal and made it easier for players? Because I'd imagine that would be kind of a barrier to entry otherwise.
Yes, well, sure, go
After
ahead.
you, Patrick.
Oh, well, I just wanted to point out that I think that even the original developers of the game wanted to minimize micromanagement, and the most obvious proof of that, I think, is the resource management system. Because in most RTS games, you have resource gatherers. You find a resource, you send a worker there, and the worker picks up the resource and brings it back to base.
Yeah.
This does not happen in Warlords Battlecry. In Warlords Battlecry, you just capture the mine, you send the workers there, send the miners there, and they never come back. They just generate resources, and you just need to defend the mine.
Yep.
So that's a good. That's something the original developers decided not to focus too much on micromanagement, or at least just allow the player to focus on micro his hero and not everything else that a strategy game does. As far as our mod continued this idea of reducing micromanagement, I think the biggest implementation and the most useful one is auto conversion, because in the original game you had to click a button to capture a building and you wait for the building to be captured, and if you got interrupted or sniped or you just received an arrow, then everything would reset, and that was very micro intensive. So now everything is done automatically. We've done several automatic procedures like this for the game. I think is for the best.
Nice.
Building repairs as well is now automatic, although you can switch that off.
Yeah, building repairs. There's a lot of stuff we've done throughout the years to reduce micromanagement so that you can focus more on your hero if you really want microing.
Nice. Yeah,
But
you
they're all optional. I mean, as except for the conversion, everything else you can automate only if you want, especially if it involves some kind of AI, because maybe you don't agree with the AI strategy, so then you can always turn off the automatization of that thing.
totally. United Rebels mod in chat said without the autocast, the game would be incredibly hard to play. You'd have to be an expert. Luckily, things have resolved well with the amount of content added. And then multiple other people just saying autocast is very cool and useful. Yeah, autocasting makes the game a lot easier to play. Seems like that was a huge game changer as soon as that was implemented. And I bet it made it so that you could kind of support larger armies because there was less micro burden on the players to be worrying about their spells and stuff like that. A similar thing I'd love to ask about, this is more on the balance side of things actually, is, correct me if I'm wrong, factions in Warlords, or like the different like playable races, are almost if not completely different from each other. Is that true, or is there like some overlap between them?
I mean, it's an RTS game, so there's base building and there's unit production and so on and so forth. But the races themselves, the 16 races, play very, very differently. We've made them, we've had them made them as different as we can without straying too far from the core mechanics.
Sure.
So, for instance, the dwarves are focused more on base building, or the demons are focused more on surprise attacks, or the knights are more focused on veterancy and keeping your units alive so they can level up. Or you can just, of course, have the swarm, which you can just A move everything and not care about the units. So we do have the races separated, like I don't know, if you like more tower defense kind of guy, then you can play with slow units that have really tough buildings and stuff like that. So
Just
there are
let
different,
Dark Dwarfs.
yeah, or the dark dwarfs. If you like siege weapons a lot, you can play with that. Nice and slow attacks, or I mean, I'll let everybody decide what's their favorite race, and it basically depends on how you like to play RTS games. There are races that are more ability intense, so you have to know when to activate a certain ability, while some races don't really care about that all that much, and the impact is a lot lower. And
Totally.
the races themselves are very different. The factions, however, just add a little bit of twist for the particular race they come from.
Yep. Given the sheer amount of asymmetry in the game, how different everything is from each other, when you are adding stuff to the game, are you trying to keep things still as different as possible, or do you ever do like slight overlaps between units in terms of their mechanics and their functions? Like, of course, probably every faction wants to have a fast unit, but how different do those fast units have to be from each other for it to be a valid addition to the game?
I mean, I don't think we follow rules that strictly. When we're thinking about playing versus another race, we're thinking more about damage types and armor than actual. Where there's a whole spreadsheet where it calculates the efficiency of every unit at every tier. But so we don't, if we don't have a very fast unit in a race, for example, then the calculator will automatically sense that and says, okay, but you need to use these extra points for something else. If you're not having a speed unit by tier 2, then you have to have something else, and you need to point that somewhere else, otherwise it's underpowered race.
So you
Yeah,
have a
it's
this is all in an Excel document that automatically calculates it?
several Excel documents, yes.
Which maniac set that up?
I like to say it was a team effort, but it was mostly Joe.
Like
That's
99.9%.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is genuinely insane. But of course, it's also fun to have certain factions, have all factions have major weaknesses. So I'm sure that it makes sense for certain factions not to have fast units, or for their fast units to be way shittier or harder to get to, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, we just play with the calculator now. We say, hey, let's remove this stat and add some other stats to that race and see what happens and how different it feels from the rest of the races.
Wow. See, you say you don't go by rules, but that's like incredibly systematic. That's like way more scientific than I'm used to hearing about in game design in general.
It took years to develop this kind of
I'm sure.
calculator.
The coming from Age of Empires, if you guys know it, I'm sure a bunch of you guys do. In Age of Empires, civilizations are way more similar than they are different. I'd say the average Age of Empires civilization shares 75 to 90% of everything it has with every other civilization in the game, including game plan. They just do different things slightly better than each other. So there's an enormous amount of symmetry. And it sometimes can be very controversial, I would know, because I have proposed such things before, in the community to propose that civilizations in Age of Empires be more different from each other. This game, I think that the amount of overlap is probably like less than 10% between different factions, both in terms of their game plan, their specific units, the way they go about things and unlock things. And the question I had is, in the Age of Empires community, we often hear, oh, you can't make civilizations more different from each other. That would be too confusing. How have you guys dealt with this issue of things being too confusing, too much barrier to entry, too hard for people to get into? Or have you found it just doesn't matter?
I think we haven't dealt with it actually. We have a tutorial, but it's very generic tutorial, and the game is hell confusing for new players. We recommend starting with one race that's easier to understand and then going from there. But I'm pretty sure that the let's say the learning curve is pretty steep.
Did
Yeah.
you mention the tutorial, Dan?
Yeah, we just have a simple tutorials.
Yeah,
But
because of course, as you said, we've only got the one tutorial which tries to cover the basis in one go. But it would be ideal, and this is actually what I do plan on doing myself, is multiple tutorials, like in the previous games, focused on different aspects of it.
Yeah.
So you can have a tutorial based on base building, or one based on conversion, one based on resources and like how to acquire them from like resource carts and whatnot, and so on. Just so players can go to in a lot of depth, like all of the depth, each mechanic, if they choose to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. It would. I'm sure
we
eventually having
also
tutorials for different races would be very welcome as well.
yeah, that's the plan. We didn't do that yet. We'd also have like we call them chapters. Uh, we have a chapter for each race, which is kind of like a mini campaign, but it also teaches you a little bit about the race, but it's nothing as in depth as a tutorial would be. So
Sure, that makes sense.
we still have to work a lot on this part.
So you've never had a community member, like a perspective, a newcomer, say, "This is just too confusing. I give up. I'm not going to do this."
I think we've had quite a few people actually.
It's actually kind of hard to track all of them. I mean, if we look at the Steam statistics, we have an achievement of just winning a game, and only 60% of the players actually won the game. So
Yeah.
that means 40% of the Steam players just abandoned the game after without ever winning a battle.
Yep.
Either that or just very, very bad, and they've always lost every single game they've played to this day.
But they're still doing it. They're still playing. They just
Yeah.
resign at the very end. No, I think that this game is so complicated. It does make sense to me that there is a drop off. There's going to be a chunk of people who are just like, I give up. This is too much. Do you think, besides the tutorials that you have in mind, do you think there is any way, just in like the structure of the game, maybe even in the structure of the menus, that it could be made more simple? And is that something you've ever wanted to do, or do you think it's just not your priority right now?
It's definitely not a priority right now. We're doing this just for fun and for the veteran units more, veteran players, sorry.
Yeah.
We do have plans to add more documents, more accessible information in general inside the game and not outside as resources, as PDFs, including tech trees and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Yep.
And a place to
Absolutely.
find out shortcuts, because the game has a load of key combinations to do a variety of things, like holding down shift when issuing rally points on buildings, things like that. But most of the time, we've got like a very small pop-up explain that, but only briefly. A lot of people generally miss that. I mean, we've got a context area above the control panel, so if you like hover over a certain button, that can give you more information, but a lot of people do still miss that.
Yep.
I mean, there are a lot of, I think these are veteran players anyway. There are a lot of players that want to know exactly what's behind a research or a skill or something like that. Like they want the actual formula. Like, if I add 1 point in regeneration, how many hit points will I get per second and stuff like that. So we're adding tooltips for that, but that's about it. It's not very advanced.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the fact that you guys are focused on the like legacy player base, it makes complete sense that you're not focusing heavily on accessibility. But of course, when I see a game like this, my mind starts to go wild. I start to think, wow, how cool would it be to have a game with this amount of complexity from the very beginning. And of course, Warlords Battlecry is not a simple game. It was already pretty freaking complicated before you guys added all this awesome stuff to it. But I often try to think about how can we maximize complexity, which I find to be very fun, and I think a lot of people find to be very fun, while minimizing the barrier to entry. Again, I don't know if this is something you guys have thought about, but it's something that looking at your mod really brought to my mind and I find really intriguing to think about.
I mean, we had an interesting lesson when we made the AI very smart. And as a consequence, we made the difficulty very high. And we had new guys coming in and they tried the game and they would just rage quit because the game was too difficult.
Yeah.
So, as we immediately came up with a hot fix and just created a very easy difficulty in the campaign because we only had an easy difficulty and that was not easy enough. And we created a very easy difficulty, and people would still be upset because they would feel embarrassed that they have to play on very easy only to be able to win the game, and they would still rage quit. So we had to do a lot of nerfing on the AI afterwards. That was very interesting experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. That becomes like a customer experience sort of thing rather than like a development sort of thing. I hope you kept that like brutal AI as like a maximum difficulty because that sounds really cool.
Of course, of course. We have, I mean, Karn can talk more about this because he's the expert, but we have a very smart AI, and then even after that, we have a very smart AI, then also cheats for very hardcore players there.
Yeah, please tell me, Karn.
Yeah.
I'm curious about AI. It seems like a very hard part of developing an RTS.
So with the original game, the AI was very dumbfounded. It mostly relied on just income cheats and things like that, and just sent all of it at your base. If you ever played a game of, if you ever played the original game, have like 5 AI, all independents, but no one's allied. They would all just instinctively just try and go towards your base, and yet you can still easily defeat them. It becomes tower defense effectively in that case. So, yeah, well, then you attack other AIs if you have to walk through someone's base to get to yours. But in our mod, the AI is a lot more clever. It's a lot more fair in the sense that you target you want the human player. But there's like loads of little things here and there, the extra calculations to actually play better. Because of this, a lot of the cheats that AI had in the original game have been removed or reserved for the very last 2 AIs, that's Emperor and Demigod. Demigod being one that we created ourselves. It's actually a little story behind that. So Demigods were created back when we only had 6 available sides per game. And if you had like 2 human players teamed up, it could easily defeat 4 AI players with the best AI together, because me and Intercab did this multiple times. And so the solution was to add in one more AI level, which was just outright broken, as in it had horrific income cheats. The idea was to simulate multiple AI while only using one slot. And so you had demigods. Eventually, however, we the ability to have up to 16 playable sides, so it wasn't necessary per se, but we still kept it on there anyway, because it's always, if you want an AI in a campaign, almost actually rig it to win for a story event, just slap in the demigod. Anyway, so Emperor and Demigod, they retain the cheat, but King is what I consider to be the AI. It doesn't cheat, and it tries to do everything as good as it can do. Everything below King is basically King, but with hamstring. So it's like it slows down. It doesn't do things, or basically it doesn't do things which can hamstring basically. Barons, for example, the absolute lowest AI, they spend a long time just thinking about doing something. There's a lot of things they can't do. They can't build certain buildings. They even have a cap to the maximum army limit, so they can't even reach a certain, they can only produce a certain amount of units before they can't produce any more. So we've done all things like that to make, all those AIs basically crap effectively. Try and basically simulate the AI in the original game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a really interesting topic too, because again, I've having talked to a lot of different mod makers, creating effective AI is a very hard thing to do and requires like a pretty in-depth set of skills. So credit to you for getting so much out of it. I really like the idea of using AI in campaigns to give players different experiences in that campaign. That sounds really cool. And it sounds like, frankly, it's something I wish a lot more games would do, because being able to create your own content is one of the most fun parts about RTS games. Along those same lines, I must ask you guys, do you have a map editor? Or rather, is Protectors compatible with Warlords Battlecry's map editor? And if so, how much does it get used?
Oh, we're making our mod as moddable as it can get. There is actually somebody who created a mod out of our mod. The original game did had a map editor. We've expanded that greatly. We've also created or expanded the scripting language, so you can have external documents that reacting within a scenario. You can create your own factions if you want to, just with a notepad. A lot of modability involved, and the fans are reacting positively to that. We have custom campaigns being developed by fans all the time. If not, we're having skirmish maps or multiplayer maps and scenarios created. We have even in our Discord we have a great collection of those. We also, of course, created compatibility to older versions of the game, so we can import those and create those. And we're still working actually on maybe even getting the Warlords Battlecry 2 maps already auto-converted to the Protectors. So this is definitely a big focus for us. We're just trying to make it very easy to edit anything in the game.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so for our next version, 0.9.3, we're actually doing a lot more work on the editor. We've got those little new tools here to make it easier and more fun to use. So hopefully that increase people's desire to build maps.
Yep, absolutely. Because, as you guys know, mods are the lifeblood of a game. And it turns out that mods are the lifeblood of a mod as well. The fact that you have a mod made of your mod is really cool. Briefly catching up with Czech. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention as much. A blatant cheating difficulty is next level thinking. # genius devs. Nice. With the original AI, I either defeated them either with a powerful hero before they start their assembly line, or played tower defense and archers until they ran out of resources, because it was impossible to beat the tide of units coming for me. I wouldn't say the new AI is hard to beat, mostly because if you have a good hero and powerful retinue, they can deal with anything coming your way. That actually is just one solution for a powerful AI: Dark Elf Archmage or Empire Merchant. I don't know what that means, but it probably is funny. The thing I was going to say, though, is the fact that you have a continuous hero is a really ingenious kind of self-balancing mechanism for very hard AI, because you could hypothetically, couldn't you just keep leveling your hero until you can just win with the hero? Or am I missing something there?
Yeah, in terms of balance, we recommend like a cap to the hero. Past that level, the hero becomes way too strong for the RTS part to matter all that much.
Mm.
But yeah, let's not forget that if you have a high level hero, then usually the AI has a high level, just as high level hero as well. So
Oh.
it becomes like a Super Saiyan battle between two titans or something, or two gods, and the rest of the mortals, the RTS units, just sit and die.
Totally. Is there a way for people to like, I don't know, equalize levels when they start a scenario? Like, oh, this scenario's recommended level is 25. So if your hero is level 30, it goes back to 25 for the purposes of the scenario. Is that a thing or is that not a thing?
We do have a handicapping system mostly made for multiplayer if you know you're playing against a high level heroes and you have a low level hero or vice versa. But the scenarios themselves are made to not really matter what hero level is. I mean, it depends on the author, but they're pretty flexible in terms of the level of your hero. It's a fun experience, it's a strategical experience up to level 30, I'd say. So, and that takes a few gaming hours to get to that level naturally without hacks.
Totally.
So that's still really fun, and the scenarios are made to be fun regardless of your hero level up to a certain point.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Nice. Well, that is the majority of the questions that I had prepared for you guys. If anyone watching, if you guys in chat have any questions for the team, please do send them my way, and I'll pass them on. But the last thing I wanted to ask is, are there any topics that any of you guys wanted specifically to mention, stuff that you're proud of, stuff that you think is really standout and interesting about the Protectors and Warlords in general, any other things that you think could be interesting to share with a newcomer like myself and my audience?
Well, I think it's very important to realize one thing. We talked about a lot about all these different mechanics of this game can have, but not so much on how they interact. And mainly the reason for this is because one, the discussion will be extremely long,
Yeah.
and two, because there are so many combos that can be obtained. Like
Mm.
just thinking about your hero's race and class combo, and then comes the faction combo, and then just your hero, and then you insert it into your favorite race and faction, and then how it interacts with the other races and factions and heroes. There's so many combos in there that really we're even as devs, we don't think about them all. We miss a lot of them,
Yeah.
and then somebody discovers them, one of the fans discovers them, and we think about how to, if the combo is too overpowered and or not fun, we think what to do about it. So that's something maybe we can discuss more in large at a future podcast. I think that would be very interesting.
Sure. It's
And
a great topic.
yeah, and I'm sure the chat too will be very happy to talk about that. I mean, everybody has a favorite combo.
Absolutely. And I
Monitor
mean,
Warrior.
from a from a TTRPG perspective, my game specifically is a game where a lot of the content is player created. And so if someone makes their own broken thing, you have to have balance mechanisms in the game to make sure that a group can say, yeah, that's not fun. We got to fix that. So it sounds like you guys have kind of a that sort of similar reactive way of balancing where you put out a cool thing, you wait until it becomes a problem, and then if it's a problem, you analyze the problem and guess how it could be adapted in a way that doesn't neuter the fun. Which I think is a good way of going about things, if I'm attributing your process correctly here.
Yeah, it took us a lot of time, a lot of years. Initially, we were developing the game, the mod behind open closed doors.
Yeah.
Uh, in time, we've learned to take feedback into consideration more attentively. And if people say not necessarily that it's a bug, but there's a balance suggestion, we actually analyze it more closely. We're still developing it, let's say, in dev versions, in private versions. We don't have an unstable release to the
Mm-hmm.
public. That's still behind closed doors because we experiment a lot of things in each version. But we do take feedback into consideration more compared to what we did in the past. And the effects are positive, not just how people react, but how the game actually plays and how much more fun it becomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Karn, Extorius, are there any other topics you think would be interesting to mention?
I can't particularly think of anything. No, unfortunately, I can't. Sorry.
No, nothing at all. I'm glad. That means that I've covered a lot of ground. Extorius, any other topics you'd like to cover?
I think we should explore more about diplomacy in the game.
Oh,
Currently, we have an option where you can change side in the game,
mm,
and it would be nice. I think that the alliances in the game will actually affect the world map in some campaigns, such as
ooh,
uh, Battlecry 2 campaign. We have many campaigns from, for example, was Battlecry 1, 2, 3. They all can be played in our mode.
wow, that's
And
really cool.
you can actually add unfixed alliances, so it is called. And I think it would be nice actually the alliances in the game to actually be remembered in the world map, and actually uh, I will hopefully be able to join you in some conquest maps. I think
Yeah,
it's a topic we should explore.
that's a
Yeah, absolutely. I
really
like it. I
interesting.
just like to point out in the chat that Artais knows me so well. He just said that I particularly like backstabbing.
Yeah,
Nice. The
For those who don't know what I'm referring to, so there's a game option called Unfixed Alliances. Basically, it's where you can team up with people mid-game, but also at the same time break those alliances. One of the things that Patrick likes doing is, towards the end of the game, after teaming up with someone, he send his army to their base, break the alliance, start attacking the person from inside their own person's base.
of course. Yep. That's something
Don't
that you
remember
see in Age
doing
of
that.
Empires diplomacy games as well. But the fact that there's potential for the stuff that happens in RTS to translate to world map is really interesting to me. It helps kind of blur the lines between the two. I just don't know how technically difficult it would be to do that. Is that something that you guys like have the ability to do, or is that something that's beyond like what the game will let you get away with?
Man, we have the ability to do anything as much as we want to invest time and resources into it because we have the whole source code and all the assets and all the tools and everything the original devs had. So we can do anything. It's just a question if we want to spend any resources in that direction.
Yeah, totally. No, it's a cool idea. The fact that again you have these two different realms of the game and thinking about how they interact with each other is something that I wish we had in Age of Empires. There's been a number of people who have proposed in Age of Empires having like a risk mode where you start the game in like a civilization's pocket of the world and then you expand, and every time you expand you play like a little AI skirmish, and so each time it's a little different. It can be kind of roguelike. I think that would be a fantastic addition to Age of Empires, but it would be very much like a side mode in Age of Empires, whereas for you guys you have this baked in to the game already. The game is designed around it, and I think it's quite compelling. I'm seeing in chat people saying weapon durability is just annoying. Well, I'd presume that there's ways to repair it, or perhaps not for very like powerful weapons. I don't know. I don't know how you guys do it. But yeah, coming from Diablo, weapon durability is something that you just have to admit. You just have to accept. It's a fact of life. Nice. Well, in that case, thank you guys so much for your time. It has been a pleasure getting to speak with you and learn about your work. Once again, for everyone watching, please be sure to check out their YouTube channel, as well as check out the links in the description of the video to pick up Warlords Battlecry, as well as, for free, the mod itself. It is an incredible piece of work. They've put a ton of time into it. And let us do our sign-offs. Any final things you guys have to say? Or shall we do... if not, you can do your goodbyes.
Go on, say just... After you, Patrick.
Thanks. I just like to thank Robbie and everyone for listening to us. I hope we will meet on the battlefield, and if anyone has any suggestions on what we could add to the game or improve or fix, like the item durability, we're always open-minded now, and we'll see what we can do. So thank you very much. I hope we will do this again sometimes, and
Yeah.
if I still have something noted here. Oh yeah, we also accept donations.
Oh, nice.
Thank you very much for the people who already did so, including during this stream. And if everybody else has anything else to add.
No, I was pretty much going to say the same thing. Yeah, for those who are currently following the mod, yeah, it's like I say, if there's something that you feel like could be changed, just offer us your feedback, and then we'll consideration of making changes related to it. And so, like I say, if there's something you don't particularly like at this moment in time, it may change in the future. We'll like it. But yeah. Thank you for having us for that.
We are working on this mod before 2011, and we will still carry on because it is our passion, and we still have ideas to finish.
That's incredible.
So
that's really
we'll be
incredible.
working on.
And we're doing it just for fun. I remember a very heartwarming comment somebody wrote. I think it was on ModDB, that they found the game and they thanked us for it because it helped him connect with his son. And that felt very, very, very nice. And I say, wow, that's great. We should definitely share our work with as many people as possible. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for the work you're doing. I greatly look forward to seeing how this mod develops. And yeah, you will probably be hearing from me sooner. It would be fun to check in a bit, see what's been going on, see what's been new, and maybe get you involved in some other projects. The only other thing I could possibly say, besides to thank you for your time and to say to everyone in the audience to go and check out the mod. Again, everything is in the description of the video, all the links that you could possibly need. Their donation link is linked on their YouTube channel as well. Go check that out. The only other thing I could say is thank you all so much for taking the time to participate. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. Chat, it's been a pleasure having you along. But on that note,
Thank
my
you
name...
for the invitation, Robbie.
Right, yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure, guys. But on that note, my name is Robbie Howell, and ciao for now.